Hello and welcome, and in this video I want to talk about the moving average that I use. I don't want to say that I created it, but I most certainly discovered such. For about a decade ago, I was on freestockcharts.com and I noticed that when you could select your average, a moving average, you could pick the closing price, the highest, the lowest, and the first thing I thought when I seen it is, why not have the exact same amount of periods spreading the low and the high? And then this came up. I'm like, man, that's cool. And I've been using it ever since. I don't like to look at too many candles when I look at charts because I like to look at each one individually to get the story. So if I look at this in here, I no longer can see individual moves. And if I just wanted to see the point from this point on, I would just look at, say, like a 10-day chart or whatever would be required to be able to see that duration of time. But we can also see that the 18 average is really doesn't look too great, I'll say, if you're looking at many different periods. Whereas if you're only looking at a few, it looks pretty cool. So we'll get back to the looking at a lot after we're done doing a very quick analysis section on all the time frames that I have on here. At least, yeah, let's go through them all. So daily time frame, you see resisting the 18 average, looking as if we're ready for a leg lower. I've talked about this pattern. It still hasn't done anything to revert it with today's green candle, but it's still below the 18 and all that type of stuff. 400-minute time frame, we can see how it's continuing its resistance area test amongst this point in here and the last leg lower from here. Not much of one. Quickly looking at, say, an hourly time frame, the 18 average, how this has been able to correct lately. So this is the start of the possibility if it can fill some of this move. And it's looking pretty decent when you have the sideways move, the breakout period at 2 p.m. Eastern time, and then about 3, 4, 5 hours just going sideways within such. So that's now what we'll do. When you want to add indicators, insert indicators where you're going to find it. And then in here, I use moving average weighted. If you want to do the highs and the lows, you have to push it twice, one for the high and one for the low. And in here, where you can format it, what I'm going to do is, if you're looking at this many periods, you just simply would need a bigger number. So instead of 18, I can put a number like, say, let's do 180 even. Look at lines much different. And there you have it. Now you can see a band in between. It's not as wide as a gap as it is when you look at it with short candles. But you can see an example within the 1 hour time frame. With the 18 average, it had a bullish type of setup in here. Within this 1 hour time frame, we see that it's facing a level of resistance I'll be looking at, which would be, well, within this band area, between 83 and 84. We can see in different spots, even in here, how it came up to the 18, resisted it, leg lower. And there's your correctionary move in here, breaks it, does all this. So it can work in either manner. Now, if you look at it this with short candles, you can get this as a more long-term indicator, because short-term, the 18 average is saying it wants to move higher. Longer-term, it's in a battle zone. Whether you want to look at both like an 18 and a 180 at the same time, I try to put as little visuals as I can on the screen, but that could work if you as one of the possibilities as well. I've never actually put two different numbers, like a short-term number like an 18 and a longer term number like that of, well, the 180 in this example. So that's the 1 hour time frame. On the 3 hour time frame, there's the breakdown below This 18 in here has yet to even come towards that area. So as we've seen on the hourly time frame, it can come up to here. Within this, it's got a long ways to go to work towards reverting the trend. It didn't really work as great support on the way up. I'm not really a big fan of this one overall when I look at it within. I like the 18 as it plays out on with a few candles. Now in this situation here, this was an interesting point because within this moving average during the rally, you have this correctionary move. You can see how it's just a very small window gap now. It's almost just like having a regular moving average line, where in comparison to normal, you have a decent window size from low to high. But this was 4 periods in which price action found support at that line. And then when you ended up having the last break higher, this correctionary move, based on the rally it received, was nowhere near as big as, of course, the last 4 correctionary moves, where the circle comes at the 18 average, or 180 average in this case. So as this one has continued to play through, when it did have its support test at the 18, this one didn't pass like all the others, setting a leg lower from this point. It has resisted this particular level, came back to it, and again doing such. This one's working a bit better than the other time frames. I'm still not going to be using such, and this analysis still shows even further that you have this little area that it can't get above to end, or not really end, the neutral / negative market, but resume that of a bull market. But this little move in here has not made it go bearish, because as I've stated, this level at 6,000, that's going to be a big defining moment if, of course, the break ends up occurring. So as I've stated within Bitcoin overall, the range from about 7,400-ish to about 10,004, 10,000, well, actually, no, 10,006, 10,007 even. That range is where the decision is going to be made for the next, what I would call probable to be a gigantic move. And having price action go from here, 8,200, down to 3,000, and losing close to 2/3 its value, or a bit more if it pierces below. And I'm really confident it'd be 3,000 and not like 37 or 43. Or the alternate, which is resumption of the bull market, which is already amazing in the fact that it can go from 8,200 to its previous high at 20 and give you 150% gain, but the probabilities of getting 40, 50, 60, 80, 150,000 and such on a situation of breaking such a level, well, that would be that'd be pretty interesting and some big gains. Now, this is what I'm going to do now. I'm actually going to put both of the averages in at one time. So let's add the indicators that I'm talking about. I know if you put different colors in, maybe it'd work. I've used blue from day one. That was the first color that I used. But I thought I got red up, a red candle down, green candle up. I guess blue is the next color to use, so that's why I've always used that. And yeah, so moving average weighted. So we'll format this. And I got the close on that, so I want to go either high first, low second, or vice versa. See, this is looking at a little too much. And I know I can adjust the colors of it, which is what the next thing I would do. So what color would we want to use? We got red, we got green, we got blue. I guess we'll go with the yellowish, I guess. Yeah, that yellow just doesn't work, not on this background. I can always go with black, I guess. I'm not using that. You got the situation of the lines crisscrossing each other here. That might be something, but this is almost like a headache on the eyes, if you will, for me. Seeing how they work together. Like I said, I don't like having a whole bunch of indicators. I've seen so many people have like 4, 5, 6, 7 of the different little indicator, the oscillator, and then the Bollinger Bands, and then they got the RSI, and they got this and that and that, and then they got like 14 different moving averages, sarcastically speaking, but realistically speaking, 4 or 5 different moving averages, 6 different trend lines. That's just not for me. But that's an idea on how the bands situation work. I like the 18. I'm going to stick with using such. I'm going to actually delete the 180 now, and now it's back to how I'm used to it. So thank you for tuning in, and have yourself a great day. Bye-bye.